Welcome to our mission. Today, we're tracking a genuine mystery. It's a quiet, almost invisible, actually, scratch that. It's a massive, unprecedented migration of global scientific talent, and it is actively uncovering one of the absolute largest geopolitical shifts of our entire lifetimes. The crown of science, the literal center of human innovation, has moved. For nearly a century, one nation sat totally unchallenged on the global throne of science and technology. But the script has been completely flipped. While some nations are bogged down in budget battles, a brand new scientific superpower hasn't just entered the race, they've actually taken the lead. For decades, the global center of innovation was fixed. We all knew exactly where it was. But the data shows us that gravity has shifted, and we need to find out who controls the future of human progress. In the time it takes someone to earn a single PhD, the entire center of gravity for human innovation has shifted across the planet. Why? Well, because the brightest minds in the world are packing their bags. So in this explainer, we're gonna follow the data trail. We're gonna see exactly where they're going, why they're leaving, and what this all means for the technology you'll be using a decade from now.
Just look at this headline for a moment from South China Morning Post. This is the news behind today's video. Is China becoming Europe's top science partner amid an American brain drain? Massive changes in the global flow of talent are creating opportunities, according to the head of Germany's Max Planck Society. With that said, let's go straight to the intro.
The algorithm buries channels that show the truth like mine every single day. The only thing that fights back is you. One like, one subscribe, turn on the bell icon. That's how the truth about China survives on YouTube. Don't let it disappear. Thank you very much. Chapter 1. The American Brain Drain, a self-inflicted contraction. Let's start right at the source of this talent exodus, the United States. For the longest time, the US was the undisputed heavyweight champion of the scientific world. But sudden policy shifts have totally altered the landscape. Recent administration policies slapped a staggering $100,000 fee on new H-1B visa petitions. Now, the H-1B is basically the primary way US firms and universities hire skilled foreign workers. By erecting this enormous financial barrier, it essentially signals to the world's top talent that, hey, the drawbridge is being raised. And keep in mind, historically, around 40% of the Nobel Prizes won by Americans in chemistry, medicine, and physics since the year 2000 were actually awarded to immigrants. But it's not just about immigration policy. Impartial data shows that at the exact same time, nearly 8,000 research grants were canceled across the National Institutes of Health and the National Science Foundation. Billions of dollars were just wiped from research budgets, and more than 1,000 NIH employees were let go because of these disrupted federal budgets. Now, put yourself in their shoes for a second. If you're a young scientist, this kind of volatility is terrifying. It literally means you might have to abandon a breakthrough experiment simply because your lab can't afford to keep the lights on. This hollowing out of the ecosystem is pushing some real existential fears about the American biomedical powerhouse. Jennifer Jones over at the Union of Concerned Scientists hit the nail on the head. She points out that the international reputation of US science has been fundamentally damaged. Get this, over 75% of US-based scientists in a recent poll said they were actively considering leaving for opportunities abroad. The talent pipeline is effectively being throttled. Chapter 2. China's scientific ascension, from quantity to elite quality. As our mission tracks this talent flowing east, we see China transitioning to absolute, undisputed elite preeminence. Let's look at data from the Nature Index. This index tracks the world's 145 most rigorous scientific journals. We're talking journals with rejection rates over 90%. Getting published here is the absolute gold standard. While China has decisively overtaken the US, producing 2.5 times more breakthrough research in chemistry alone and 1.7 times more in the physical sciences. This isn't just padding resumes, guys. These are the major breakthroughs that shape entirely new fields of study. So why does this matter to you?
Because this elite research rapidly converts into tangible intellectual property. According to data from the Quincy Institute, Chinese entities now hold over 40% of all global 6G patents. Today's dense academic papers become tomorrow's quantum computers, advanced batteries, and next-generation mobile networks. By dominating the foundational science now, they are perfectly setting themselves up to own the commercial future. Fueling this dramatic rise is an absolute explosion in funding. China has officially crossed the $1 trillion threshold. That means they've reached research and development parity with the United States in terms of purchasing power. $1 trillion. They are aggressively hiring, they're building world-class facilities, and they're offering massive startup packages to lure in those exact researchers who just lost their funding in the West. But you know, money isn't everything. The real magnet for global talent is infrastructure. The Chinese Academy of Sciences is proactively opening 10 major national research facilities to the entire world. We're talking massive sites like Siku for extreme physics in Beijing and Earth Lab for supercomputing, and they are operating on a global open access model. If you are a top researcher, they aren't building walls to keep you out. They are throwing open their doors and offering you the keys to the best scientific equipment on the planet. Chapter 3. Europe's Strategic Asylum, the Safe Haven. Caught right in the middle of all this is Europe, and they're playing a fascinating game to absorb the overflow of fleeing researchers. Backed by a massive $565 million investment from the EU Commission and France's Safe Place for Science initiative, European universities are literally rolling out the red carpet. In fact, applications to the European Research Council from US-based scientists have nearly tripled. Europe is stepping up and offering exactly what scientists crave most: stability and academic freedom. But Europe is also practicing some intense strategic pragmatism here. Rather than isolating themselves from the new scientific superpower, they are deepening institutional ties with China. They are forging partnerships with Germany's incredibly prestigious Max Planck Society. Together, they are building massive joint research centers in places like Shenzhen and Beijing, focusing on everything from synthetic biochemistry to climate change. They are basically ensuring their own scientists stay at the absolute cutting edge. This Sino-European access gives European researchers direct access to China's immense scaling capabilities. Patrick Kramer, the president of the Max Planck Society, sums it up perfectly. He notes that we're seeing, quote, massive changes in the global flow of talent. Openly acknowledging this profound shift in global intellectual capital is really the only way Europe ensures it doesn't get left behind in this new tripolar dynamic. Chapter 4. The next steps. Adapting to multipolarity. So if the center of innovation permanently altered, how do nations survive? Well, according to policy experts, to avoid being left behind, the US basically faces three stark choices. First, accept the new normal of multipolarity and focus heavily on remaining areas of strength, things like biomedical research and AI. Second, massively reinvest in domestic funding to rebuild comprehensive leadership from the ground up. Or third, actively collaborate with global leaders, wherever they are located on the map, recognizing that science advances fastest when we push each other and cooperate. Chapter 5. A New World Order, the Future of Progress. Our mission concludes with an undeniably dramatic picture. The unipolar era of American scientific hegemony, it has officially ended. The data across multiple independent databases tells the exact same story with remarkable consistency. We're shifting from an old paradigm of unipolar dominance, one that relied on legacy prestige and increasingly closed networks, to an entirely new paradigm. This new landscape is defined by the Sino-European axis. It's characterized by regional hubs offering extreme efficiency, immense funding, and totally open access cooperation. It's a world where talent follows opportunity regardless of national borders. As the global geography of innovation is reshaped right in front of us, the ultimate question we are left with is this. In an era where the greatest challenges facing humanity, from climate change to global pandemics, require unprecedented technological breakthroughs, will nations choose to build bridges, or will they build walls to the future of human progress? Because the data makes one thing absolutely clear: the science won't wait for anyone. Thank you for joining this mission to uncover the Great Realignment. I really hope this explainer sheds some light on the invisible currents shaping our tomorrow. Stay curious, stay focused. Mission accomplished. Goodbye for now.